Hey there, John here from GenXGrownUp. Thanks for clicking to check this out. And if you saw the thumbnail, you know this is some pretty big news in the Atari community that you almost had to see coming, but then I wasn't sure what was coming. So the news is, of course, that Atari has acquired or has agreed to acquire AtariAge at AtariAge.com. Now, if you're not familiar with AtariAge, it's where I do tons of my research. It's effectively the universal compendium, one of a couple. Atari Mania is also great. Universal compendium of everything about Atari, right? So they have community forums there. It's where a lot of the homebrew and ROM hack community lives, and it's kind of like if you want to talk to people about Atari, it's the place to go for their forum. But they also have an archive of hardware and software, documentation, scans of magazines and catalogs, and plus a huge homebrew store. Now you might remember, was it a month or two ago, they were divesting themselves of all homebrew titles in their store that were based on or evolutions of existing IPs that would be license locked. And you had to wonder, well, like, what's the move here? It sounds like a legitimizing move, right? So you don't have any questionable legal kind of footing that you're on. And that's pretty much what was happening. Now, I didn't expect that was Atari going to grab them, but I have thoughts one way and the other. I'm curious to know what you think too. AtariAge has been around for 25 years, founded in '98. It wasn't initially AtariAge, it was called Atari Nexus or something, but when they rebranded as AtariAge, they took their name from the Atari fan club that I was a member of in the 80s, and the magazine called AtariAge that just brought it that much closer to the core of my Atari nostalgia. So, I mean, it's a go-to place if you're an Atari fan. Now, this isn't a huge shock, right? Atari, under Wade Rosen, has been snapping up or investing in tons of stuff. He invested in I say he, as the company, under his guidance, invested in AntStream, that streaming company. Remember, they bought the M Network 2600 titles. They acquired stuff from Stern so they could get Berserk. Night Dive Studios, they snatched up. So the interesting thing is that the founder and the guy that owns and runs AtariAge has become an Atari employee and will stay on as the Atari historian. So here's where my back and forth is. On the one hand, I like the idea of Atari not reinventing the wheel, going to the community that exists and embracing and legitimizing that. I like that part. There's the part that nags at me is like there ought to be this separation of church and state, right? There's Atari, the official entity, and then there should be then this entity that can work independently of Atari, to kind of, the checks and balances to keep one another in check. Atari can protect its IP, but this company, AtariAge now, that's part of Atari, previously was pretty free to say and do what it wanted because it wasn't under the guidance of Atari. It just existed with the blessing, I guess, of Atari. But so I'm feeling ambivalent about it, and there's already people on both sides of the coin arguing whether this is good or whether this is bad. But I wanted to get the information out there. If you don't travel in the circles and learn about this, I think it's exactly what Atari has been doing. It is emblematic of Wade Rosen's approach to embrace and bring into the fold kind of things that are otherwise abandoned. Not AtariAge is abandoned, I mean, but it wasn't official, I guess is what I mean. Abandoned is the wrong term, but working on its own and bring it in sort of thing. So yeah, it's curious. It's interesting. Who knows what is next? I've said it every time one of these news items pop up. It is a cool time to be a fan of Atari as they're growing and growing. I know that some people go, well, it's not really Atari, it's these new guys, but I don't prescribe to that because look, even if Atari had never been liquidated and sold and reacquired kind of stuff, it would still be an entirely different organization and management than it was, 50 years ago. It's going to be a different company. The nice thing is, though, it's no longer a shell of its former self. It's like reinvigorating itself and finding ways to take IPs and make money, finding ways to aggregate and, in this case, assimilate other things to become a larger powerhouse in the especially retro gaming community. So, hey, Curiouser and curiouser stuff is happening. Please let me know down in the comments what you think. I love getting a conversation going and hearing your insight and input. I mean, many of you know way more than I do about this, and you'll share your insights down there. Maybe some folks, I know we have several people from AtariAge forums that visit over here, and so love to hear your input. Just want to share this with you. I certainly hope you enjoyed this very quick news update video, and I can't wait to talk to you again next time. Bye-bye.